This is Operation Intel, where the truth hits harder than silence. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Tonight we are taking a look, tonight in Tel Aviv, but we're taking a look at a live view of Tel Aviv in Israel right now, where it is suspected that Iran's going to be launching another attack. So if you know anything about what's going on, a little bit of a breakdown, I'm sure everybody has gotten to kind of view exactly what's been going on over there. Israel decided to send not only missiles, but targeted missiles at key sites. So we're taking a look at the nuclear facilities, military installations, military targets. That was about 4 nights ago. Last night, Israel decided that they wanted to take out a TV broadcast station. And actually, that TV broadcast station got hit while they were on air. So that's what we're taking a look at today. We're taking a look. We're kind of waiting on a response from Iran. I want to be able to give that to you live. But Iran did say that they are going to be responding. Now, whether or not that's within the next couple of minutes, hours, I'm not sure. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm following everything on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and seeing if there's any updates. As of about an hour or so ago, sirens are, Iran did strike. Sirens sounding across northern Israel following another barrage of Iranian missiles. So Iran has responded earlier on tonight to what happened yesterday. A TV broadcast station was struck by Israel, and it was said to have been because they were using it for military purposes. So the big thing here is when we look at this, what I'm seeing right now is Israel is sending out warnings before they hit to civilians. So basically, Israel's saying, hey, we're going to hit this area. Do they know where? Do the people know exact targets? No, they don't. Nobody would have guessed that Israel is going to hit a TV broadcast station last night, but they did. And there was a reason for that. They know more than what we do. And we're just kind of waiting to see what's going on. For the last few nights, you have seen nothing but barrages of missiles and incoming fire, and it's been a mess over there. If you guys have gotten a chance to take a look at my last video, if you were in the United States, and I will get into what I think about it, but it brings me on to another topic of last night. It was also reported, if anybody follows Flight Radar 24/7, the big thing last night was there was a ton of military aircraft going into the Atlantic. Not into the Atlantic, but across the Atlantic. And speculation is that they were going to the Middle East to help with what's going on over there. Now, those military aircraft were refuelers and things like that of that nature, but there was a ton of them going over there. So we didn't know why they were going over there. Well, today it was confirmed that they are going headed to the Middle East. So are we going to see the United States get involved in this directly? Who knows? It's a matter of time before we get to see that. And they are involved to a point. They're taking out some of the missiles that are being launched from Iran into Israel, and some of the weapons that we are seeing right now are, you know, weapons that come from the United States. Israel and the United States are allies. So that's what we're seeing. Now, whether or not the United States gets involved, who knows? Who knows if they get involved? And I'm not going to speculate on that. Do I see them getting involved? It's hard to say. It really is. But it brings me on to another point, and it's what I went over yesterday in my video. And I'm just now learning to kind of make my videos and stuff like that. So kind of bear with me. The thought process behind the videos and the way that I think from having combat experience, that's there. The video making and how I'm presenting myself and things like that still needs work. But what I was saying last night is that what we're noticing, and this is coming from multiple intelligence agencies, is that there is a resurgence of Al Qaeda in Afghanistan. And they're not just popping up, they're expanding. And when I say that they're expanding, it's ISIS too. You know, multiple intelligence agencies say that there's sleeper cells all over the United States. And I think that that's the one thing the United States has to be worried about. Do I think do I think Iran's going to launch into the United States? No. They have said that they were going to attack United States bases in the region. The one thing about us is we have bases all over. And by all over, I mean we can launch an attack from pretty much anywhere in the world within an hour. So, can we defend what Iran has coming for us? It depends on where it is. Because you look at some of these bases in Iraq, and that's where I was. Do they have systems that can shoot things down? Absolutely. Are those things equipped to take on the missiles that are being launched into Israel right now? And the answer is no. If the Iron Dome cannot defend what's coming into Israel right now, which it's done a decent job, but without the help of the United States, and I believe Jordan was shooting down drones the other night, without the help of them, it would have been a lot worse on Israel. So while the Iron Dome is great, it lacks in certain areas, and the areas that we're talking about is ballistic missiles. And that's what's kind of taking a toll on Israel right now, is these ballistic missiles coming in from Iran that aren't being shot down by the United States ships that are sitting in between Israel and Iran. It's just not. They're not taking them all out because they're launching hundreds at a time. They're launching hundreds of missiles at a time, and it's tough. It's tough to knock down all of those at the before they hit anything. They're doing the best that they can, and so isn't Israel. But they're not going to be able to shoot down everything. Now, with what I was going into last night, and I think an important thing to kind of go over is, are we going to see something here in the United States? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. When that is going to be, who knows? It's hard to say when that's going to happen, because multiple intelligence agencies have said that they're already here, and the weapons that they're going to be using are already here. But does that mean that it's going to happen in retaliation for the United States helping Israel? That's what you almost have to wait and see when it comes to certain things like this. But the one thing I can tell you is it isn't a matter of when or if, it's a matter of when, because it's going to happen sooner rather than later. The weapons are already here. The people are already here. It's just, when is it going to hit? And that's the tough thing about war, right? And again, I am not for war. I've seen it. I've seen what it does. The one thing that I will tell you is that if Israel is hitting military targets and trying to take out nuclear facilities and specific targets, I can get behind that, and I'll tell you why. So often I see people saying, hey, Israel shouldn't be launching into Iran. Well, before I go into this, I think the Iranian people are great. The Persians are great people. But you're dealing with a regime over in Israel right now, or Iran right now, that want bloodshed. They do. And they've even said it. This isn't one of those instances where a country is a part of the nuclear triad. They're just not. And that has rules to it. Okay? The nuclear rules of engagement, or whatever you may call it, between China, Russia, the United States, hell, even North Korea. I mean, as crazy as they are, they don't want to be wiped off the face of the earth. Whereas when you're dealing with the regime in Iran, they have said that they want bloodshed. They don't mind. We live over here. We want to live. They don't care about dying. They don't. And that's the scary part about this. When you get these extreme ideologies that do not care about if they live or they die, well, what you end up facing is something like what's going on right now. I'd be scared to death if I was Israel, because they would be first on the path of destruction if they get a nuclear weapon. So you have to understand where Israel is coming from, because They're not a part of this nuclear deal. That's why it was so important to get them to the negotiating table. It was so important for us to make a deal with them, and they don't want to. Why don't they want to make a deal? Well, the reason why they don't want to make the deal is because they want bloodshed. And I'm not giving you my personal opinion about that. They've said it. They want bloodshed. And that is not all the people in Iran by any means whatsoever. But, and most of the people, 99.9% of the people in Iran are good people. And I can say that wholeheartedly because even when I was in Iraq, I can tell you that most of the people in Iraq are good people. If you've watched one of my first videos, I went into how an Iraqi man changed my life. And I truly believe people of the world want peace. No matter if you're Christian, Muslim, whatever you may be when it comes to faith, you want peace. Why? Well, you want it because you understand that the next generation, there's no reason for nuclear weapons. There just isn't. And I'll be honest with you about that. Do I think we should have nuclear weapons? No. Just like I don't think North Korea should have nuclear weapons. But Iran believes that they should have them. Well, then you look at what's going to happen when it comes to them supporting groups like Hamas and things like that. Who do you think's going to get that nuclear weapon? Because at the end of the day, if we're launching ballistic missiles, they're going to try to eliminate that. By eliminating it, I mean a nuclear weapon pretty much eliminates that threat. So you look at places like Hezbollah or groups like Hezbollah, who on October 7th attacked Israel out of nowhere. So I can understand Israel not wanting Iran to have nuclear weapons. And just give me a second here. What I'm doing is I'm checking Twitter. And I'm going to keep calling it Twitter because that's what I know it by. But if you want to correct me, go ahead. I know it's called X. The IDF is kind of giving an update on X. And that's where you'll see most of this stuff coming from. I follow them on X. The last thing that said Iran's fingerprints are on terror attacks across the whole world. You can ignore it until it lands on your doorstep. And, I agree with that. It goes into what I've been talking about. So often here in the United States, what ends up happening is we take for granted our freedoms. We can go out and protest if we don't like something without having to worry about getting our family hurt or us getting kidnapped or just by voicing our opinion. Over there, you voice your opinion, you're done. So you can't have an opinion, right? So a lot of Iran right now, they want freedom. They want to be able to do certain things and they don't want war. I know they don't. Not too many people in the world want war. Let's see if I can. This is a bigger view of the skyline, and whether or not Iran hits again here in the next few hours or whatever it may be, we're just kind of waiting to see. And like I said, I'm following everything when it comes to this. So let's see here. The IDF actually did put out a video of exactly what they did last night. And it just reads, recap of our recent operations over Tehran. Strike on two F-14 fighter jets that were located at an airport in Tehran. These jets were intended to intercept an Israeli aircraft, and it just shows a video of them destroying the two aircrafts. So, you know, you're looking at planned attacks that we're seeing. They're being very strategic about everything that they do. Um, so and there's multiple videos on X of Iranian civilians celebrating the attack on Iran by Israel. They're dancing in the streets, they're handing out food. You know, what you're seeing is a country that doesn't want to be ruled by the current regime. And will we see a regime change? There's a lot of questions going on right now. Let's see here. So we're awaiting a response from Israel or Iran right now to they did attack earlier in the day, and I'm looking for maybe videos or media about the attack. And this was 1 hour ago. Iran update. Supreme National Security Council, we will turn tonight into a day for the Israelis. So that was about an hour ago. So more than likely we are going to see some incoming missiles into Iran or into Israel. So we're just kind of awaiting that. Hopefully, you know, it's more military targeted instead of civilian targeted, but I just have a feeling you're going to see a barrage of missiles coming into Tel Aviv. Do I think they hit cities like oh Jerusalem? Yeah, I think that that would be a huge mistake on the part of Iran. So we're just sitting here, we're waiting what's going on. I'm following some of the news here about what's this? So this is coming from a Pakistani religious scholar. Um, looks like Engineer Maraza. Now I'm a really jack up these names if you want me to be honest with you. But he said on the very first day of Israelis' airstrikes on Iran, he claimed it was a clear success for Israel, saying Israel had broken Iran's back, that Iran only had a few missiles and should consider a deal. And when you have Middle Eastern countries saying stuff like this, I mean, you got to really take a look because usually, these bigger countries really kind of stick together. So we will see what happens tonight. I am going to stay live and we will kind of see what happens here as I'm following the news. Let's see. It really makes me wonder when I look on things like X and things like that, and I see posts of saying Iran has its right to defend itself. Absolutely. They absolutely do have a right to defend themselves, and I do agree with that. Every country has the right to defend themselves, but what most people, and this is what I was saying earlier, most people don't realize that when you fund terrorism and your ideology is different than what people are used to here in the West, you're never going to understand why. Because the same people that are saying Iran has the right to defend themselves are going to be the same people that when attacks happen in their hometown or to somebody they love, which God forbid that happens, they will be the first ones to say we need to do something about it. You know, you you wonder why, and many reports, and I look back at events like Pearl Harbor, right? And there have been many of reports that we did know that was coming. We knew the attack in Pearl Harbor was coming. But the reason why we let it happen was because they knew that entering World War II was not something that the American people were going to want. But if we were attacked, that would be different. And lo and behold, they were completely correct. When Pearl Harbor got attacked, everybody got behind it. Everybody got behind World War II. Hitler has to be stopped. But now you take a look at what's going on and you're doing preemptive strikes and preemptive strikes against a nuclear. I do not think people realize how big a nuclear bomb is. I don't. And because if you want a country like Iran to have a nuclear bomb, there's something in your head that is not clicking. It's just not. When you fund terrorism and you have been funding weapons against uh, even me, when you have been funding that kind of stuff for years, and the people over here in the United States think it's a good idea to just leave them alone. Leave them alone. Let them make their nuclear bombs. There's no way that you can let that happen. Absolutely no way. And the reason being, and I said this earlier, the reason being is when you have countries like the United States and Russia and China and again, even North Korea, there are nuclear agreements. There's per se um, rules of engagement to be able to launch that kind of stuff. Iran is not part of that, and they never would be a part of it. We were trying to make a deal with them. We were trying to negotiate for it, and they didn't want a part of it. Why is that? And again, I am all for things being fair. The United States is not innocent in any conflict. Hell, you look at Iraq and Afghanistan. Iraq, to me, we should have never been in Iraq. But this is not Iraq. It's not Iraq. It's not Afghanistan. This is not the same thing. Iran was very close to testing a nuclear weapon. Iran is one of the countries you do not want by any means having something nuclear. It's not. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was on record saying he was asked. They asked if he had or if he thought that Iran was close to having a nuclear weapon, and he said he wasn't sure, but the day that he thought that they were very close, Israel would attack, and they would make sure that it didn't happen. So, and again, Israel is not innocent in any of this. Everybody has dirty laundry. Everybody. But to sit back and think it is totally okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to think that people are okay with Iran having a nuclear weapon. It really does baffle me. So we're just kind of sitting here awaiting, seeing what's happening over Tel Aviv right now, seeing if there is going to be an attack in Tel Aviv from Israel or Iran. I keep messing that up. That's my fault. But I'm also following things on X to see what's going on. Again, I just find it very interesting that you have Iranians in the streets celebrating Israel sending missiles at military targets. That that to me should tell a lot of people what's going on. So again, I do not believe that the Iranian people are bad people at all. I don't. I think people are people, and the ideology and the extremism and things like that are what make people bad. So that's just my thought behind it. And whether you believe Israel should have attacked, you know, that's up to you. I know I wouldn't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I know that. So, you know, I hate seeing civilians die. I hate seeing anything from war because a lot of the times, and I don't know about Iran and Israel, but a lot of these countries force, you know, males to be a part of the military once they hit a certain age. So it's not that they want to be there sometimes, it's because they have to be there. And again, I don't know if either one of those countries make, you know, people join the military, but if they do, you kind of understand where I'm coming from, where they didn't even want to be there, and they're getting they're having to deal with it. So let me know what you guys think. Tell me what your guys is, and you know, I don't know everything, and I don't want anybody to ever think that I know everything. But I have seen a lot of this stuff, not missiles being launched and things like that, but I do kind of have an understanding of the ideology and the way that they think and things like that. I do have a view of it. I do understand it a little bit. So, and again, we have a live view of Tel Aviv. Just kind of waiting to see what Iran's response is. They said that they would be attacking more. So, second here. What do I think will happen tonight? It's hard to say. It really is. It's hard to say what the response will be. Um, there is going to be a response. You've seen it every single night around. I would say 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all the way to early in the morning in Israel. So they're going back and forth, and well, I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see exactly what happens. Um, but I do look for a response. They said that there was going to be a response to it. So that's what we're waiting on. We're just kind of sitting here. I'll kind of read the updated news to you guys that I'm getting here off of X and different Discord channels. And, the one thing that I do like about this new age is that we can sit here and we can watch stuff like this where it may be sad that we're sitting here watching people go through situations like this, but I think it's a lot different than what the way the news used to be given to us. And the way that the news used to be given to us is, you know, by ABC and Fox and things like that. What I think is pretty cool is I can actually tell you what I see. And my opinion may not matter to a lot of people, and I totally understand that. Um, I have been in the Middle East. I have, seen war. I've seen a lot of different things. I did 15 months in Iraq, and yes, I did see combat. Um, I didn't sit behind a desk while I was there. Hell, I was out 10 to 12 hours a day with a main job of going about 5 miles an hour looking for IEDs and roadside bombs, basically, if you don't know what an IED is. And I told this story on my last video if you go to my channel. One of the. And again, I was only, 21 years old when I went over there, so I didn't understand everything that was going on. But if I'm in Iraq and I'm looking down into a blast crater to investigate it, and I see 2 Iranian 155 rounds, where are these terrorists getting these large rounds from? Well, it's right there on the round. They're coming from Iran. So, that's just my personal opinion on it. Whether or not, and this has nothing, I think what ends up happening is a lot of people don't understand the ideology over there with some of the people. I'm not saying all the people because, I absolutely love the people that I met over there. Some of the best people I met were Iraqis. And I just, I feel bad for the people the civilians that want no part in war. And they're having to be drug into this. It goes for the people of Israel as well, though. So you can't just look at it and say, oh, the people of Iran, when the regime that's there right now is, they want bloodshed. And that again, that's not me just putting words into their mouths. They have stated that they want the world to bleed. So you really have to look at the two ideologies. You have to look at exactly, what's going on and what they're looking at and why they want bloodshed. And it has everything to do with ideologies. We're going to be seeing stuff like this happen for years and years to come. Also, because of the way that the children are raised, they're raised to hate the Western world, which in some ways I understand, but other ways, I don't. They take it to the extreme. Do I think, do I agree with the way that that sounded like an aircraft there in Tel Aviv? And I'm not sure if you guys can hear that or not. Let me see here. Again, I'm not sure if you guys can hear that or not, but um it just it you have to understand the ideology behind everything. And until you realize that, you won't understand the reason for everything happening right now. So again, just this is a live view of Tel Aviv, and we're just kind of waiting to see what's going on here. I'm gonna take a quick break here, get something to drink, and I will be right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. A little bit of an update here. Israeli defense has said that there was a incoming alert and that they had shot down some drones that were headed into Israel from Iran. That was just a few minutes ago. So let's take this off of here for right now. Just looking for some more updates here. Um, wow, so this is from Reuters just a few minutes ago. Let me share this with you guys. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So this is what Reuters just came out with about 10 hours ago, actually. They're saying Iran says Parliament is preparing a bill to leave. What they're saying is that later on down in the, and this was in Dubai, in light of recent developments, we will take an appropriate decision. Government has to enforce Parliament bills, but such a proposal is just being prepared, and we will coordinate in the later stages with Parliament. So basically, what they're saying is um, that NPT, which Iran ratified in 1970, guarantees countries the right to pursue civilian nuclear power in return for requiring them to forego atomic weapons and cooperate with the UN nuclear watchdog, the IAEA. It's not good. That is, to me, that is not good at all. So that's what that's kind of where we're at with this. I think that they want their right to develop an atomic weapon, and I think they wanted that right. That's the reason why they were testing it out. So they were given a reason as to, now they can pursue getting out of that agreement. Um, Things are definitely getting scary over in the Middle East right now. That's clear. Um, it's very clear. It's kind of scary when you're in it. All fingers are pointing to that. That's what's going to happen. They're going to leave that, and then who are they going to answer to? Right? They don't have anything to abide by. So now all of a sudden, you've got more of a problem on your hand. So, just looking up some more news here. Um, Give me 1 second here. So we were talking about the ships there in the Middle East that are kind of shooting down direct fire into uh, Israel, and this is going to kind of show us exactly what. So it says U.S. aircraft carrier heads west from South China Sea amid Middle East tensions. We were just talking about the airplanes that were videoed the other day going, or last night actually, going across the Atlantic. People were speculating whether or not they were going to the Middle East. Today it was confirmed that um, they are going to the Middle East. So are they going to Iran? I mean, that's something that Israel really needs right now. They need refuelers. So does that, looking at it from Iran, does that put us in even more danger? And the answer to that is yes. Um, but it just says U.S. aircraft carrier USS Nimitz left the South China Sea on Monday morning, heading west, according to data from ship tracking website Marine Traffic after a reception um, for its planned port call in central Vietnam was canceled. And anytime that you see the military canceling plans and going elsewhere, that means that there's something that they're seeing. There's something that um, is urgent. Which to me, this definitely isn't good news for us, right? So give me a second. Yeah. The carrier had planned to visit Da Nang City later this week, but two sources, including one diplomat, said a formal reception stated for June 20th had been called off. One of the sources said the U.S. Embassy had informed him about the cancellation due to an emergent operational requirement. So, are we looking at the United States just going over there and shooting down incoming because the Iron Dome is failing when it comes to missiles, which we talked about earlier in the broadcast? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what's going on right now? Um, it's hard to say. So I want to backtrack a little bit. I kind of want to recap with everything that's going on right now and kind of add my personal opinion on what's going on. You have Israel, who's been attacking Iran, and whether you like to think it or not, the reason for that is in my opinion, justified. I mean, I'm going to give you my opinion behind it just because I don't think anybody should have a nuclear weapon. So if you were to ask me the same thing about the United States, Russia, China, North Korea, I would say no. So it's not me saying that Iran deserves less than what the United States has. It's not anything like that. Um, but it's to protect, right? They do not operate in the same sort of rules that you know China and Russia and the United States and North Korea. They don't operate under those same rules. Their ideology is different. You can argue North Korea's is too, but you don't have North Korea out here not only harboring but funding terrorism. Yeah, are they crazy? Absolutely they are, but when you're talking about somebody that has the ability to get nuclear weapons in the hands of terrorists that are already known to be in sleeper cells here in the United States, it is scary. And that's not even counting Europe. So you're looking at places like Germany and Britain and places of France, and this is scary to them. Because why wouldn't it be? If you lived in one of those countries, you would be petrified of it. The only reason why you are fighting for Iran right now to have a nuclear weapon, I can't even think of a reason, to be honest with you. Nobody needs one. Nobody needs one. So I was telling you guys a little while ago that there was a video of the news broadcast station there in Iran getting hit. I'm going to bring that up. I want you guys to see that. It was definitely interesting. Give me 1 second. There we go.
مثل خاک وطن صدای
And this is that video.
که شنیدی صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردی، صدایی که شنیدی، فضای غبارآلوده استودیو که شنیدی صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به
And again, that was, I'm gonna play it for you guys one more time. You know, Israel had said that they were attacking a news station there in Iran due to its affiliation with the military. It was being used for military purposes. You know, I don't know what those military purposes were. I have no idea. And I'm not going to speculate on that at all, because what I don't know, I don't know. But let's play that one more time for you guys, because this was definitely crazy. So let's go over this.
که شنیدی صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استودیو
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, in the middle of a news broadcast. In the middle of a news broadcast. I mean, that's, you know, if I'm looking at it, that's absolutely terrifying. It's terrifying. That happened last night. The IDF put out a response to that attack, saying that they were attacking that news station because they were affiliated with the military. The military was using that TV broadcast station. What their involvement is, I have no idea. I would not be able to tell you that, because I have no clue. They didn't say what it was used for. They didn't tell us anything. They just, you know, it's sad. It honestly is, for everybody, right? And I'm not talking about the regime or even the military targets. I mean, you have kids, and I don't care what anybody says. A lot of your military are nothing but kids. And when I joined, my mind now is totally different than, you know, when I was in the military. And a lot of these military members, I know over here anyways, you know, you get some of them that want to see war, and that's just what it is. They want to see war. But for the most part, they don't want to see war. They'll tell you they want to see war. They want to get deployed. I don't even know how many times I've heard people say, "Oh, I wish I would have been deployed." You want to be deployed until you have to kick in that first door. You want to be deployed until you see that first kid that's been affected by the results of what's going on right now. And those images will never leave. Those images will never leave your head. And like I said, I don't care what anybody thinks. You are still a kid and you're in your early 20s and late teens. I absolutely enjoyed my time in the military, but I enjoyed it for a totally different reason, and that reason is I enjoyed the people I was around. I enjoyed the experience it gave me, but some of the things you see the brutality of war, and it is not. It's something that has stuck with me, and I'm 40 now. So you're talking what, 19 years ago I was in Iraq? 18 years ago? And there are still moments where I can just it seems like yesterday, because yeah, and it all also the effects of war aren't always seen either. It's not always seen. So when you talk about like things like Vietnam, where they called it shell shock, but now we know it as PTSD, right? Um, Different traumatic events and stuff like that. It does war does the unseen, and that it's going to be generational. It's there's kids that are affected by it. It's it, it shouldn't be happening in my opinion, but you know, who am I? And everything, when you look at some of these countries and even the United States, um, so don't think that I'm sitting back and I'm saying, I think the United States should have a nuclear weapon. I don't. But you sit back and you look at countries like Iran that harbors terrorists and funds terrorism, and you wonder what's the use of a nuclear weapon. If they're going to launch missiles into Israel from Gaza, an attack, what's stopping them from putting a nuclear weapon in the hands of a terrorist? I mean, it's just ugly. So, just checking a few different sources here. And I just put a poll up, and I don't think I have anybody in here, but um, looking back on the broadcast, I would like to see what other people think. My opinion isn't the only one that matters. I know this is my channel, but I would like to hear what other people have to think about the situation and see if other people think Israel was justified in attacking Iran. I'd like to see that. I like this view a little bit better because I am looking at my OBS screen right now. So let's see. So as of an hour ago from the Israel War Room, they put out a post on X saying the Israeli Air Force is striking Iranian missile assets on the ground. So I'm just looking to see if I can find any videos about what's going on in Tehran. I did find something. Let me see here. Back to my main video here. I'm trying to learn a little bit of OBS. So let's see. Let's see if this is it. That is not it. Sorry, guys. Let's just add those. Trying to get this brought up on the screen for us. There is video of this. Give me 1 second here and I'll get you guys a view of what's... Can't get it for some reason. don't know why I can't get this to come up. But basically there are videos there in Iran of the missiles being hit. That was as of, it was posted 2 hours ago. But it's very hard to find, live views of inside of Iran. On the main highway between Tehran and Qom, the Israeli Air Force destroyed trucks carrying a surface-to-air missile launcher. So when you have something like this and you have air superiority, it's making it tough. That's for sure. It's making it very, very tough for Iran to do anything. So, do they launch anything else tonight? I'm not sure we see anything. Iran has said that they will be doing something. And as we went over just a little bit ago, we have a ship from the U.S. basically diverting to the Middle East. So, in the last 24 hours, we have seen multiple U.S. aircrafts leave the United States. And what was said and speculated on, they were going to the Middle East to help out with what's going on. That was confirmed earlier today. And then now we're hearing of a ship that has diverted. It was supposed to dock in Vietnam. That's been canceled, and they are on the way to the Middle East. So we are just kind of awaiting to see what happens. It's not looking good right now. I think we're going to see something big at some point. When that is, I'm not sure. So apparently, and you guys have to excuse me. I'm kind of going through this as I see it coming through. This was 20 minutes ago. Matt Wallace on X said the president of Israel just said New York is about to be bombed next. And I think what that refers to is some of the things we have went over. These sleeper cells that are already in the United States, and whether you like to believe it or not, are, our southern border was an issue. And I honestly believe that. And if you don't believe that our southern border let in more than just people from Mexico that were good, hardworking people, you're mistaken. Because, yes, I do believe there are good people that have come across that border. Illegally, but there are good people. But what it also did was it opened up the floodgates to terrorism. And until you see terrorism on your front doorstep, you won't know it's a problem. And that's the problem I have with politics. Because common sense tells you that if you have an open border, where a ton of illegal immigrants are coming in, that's going to be an open door for people to come over here and do whatever their ideology wants them to do. And that's just what it is. I mean, that's not me leaning to the right or the left. That's just facts. It is absolute facts that our southern border need to be shut down because of stuff like this. Multiple intelligence agencies again have said that there are sleeper cells here in the United States and major US cities that could be activated because of things that are going on in the Middle East right now. And if you did not see my video yesterday, I encourage you to take a look at it. Give me 1 second and I will be right back. Sorry about that. My kids called me, so I had to take it. But this is what's going on here in Israel. This is a live view of Tel Aviv. If you are new to the broadcast, I know I'm a newer channel, but what I am going over is what's going on in Israel right now. A little bit of a recap of what we've been going over. Last night, I'm going to show you guys another video here in a second. Iran got hit with a barrage of missiles, one of which took out a TV broadcast station there in Iran, and they were live on the air when that hit. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu said that the reason for that hit was because of the military using that broadcast center. Now, what that means, I have no clue. I don't know, why they were using it or how they were using it, but they were using it. In response to that, Iran has said that they will retaliate, which we have seen almost nightly there in Israel. So we're kind of just waiting to see what the response will be, as I'm giving you guys kind of a minute by minute update about what's going on with this. Now, another thing that we're taking a look at is the United States involvement, how the U.S. is involving itself. Late last night, people started noticing that there were a ton of U.S. military planes leaving the United States going towards the Middle East. So they were speculating that they were going to help Israel. That was confirmed earlier today, that they are going to be heading, or they are headed towards into the Middle East. I just probably about 30 to 45 minutes ago shared a report from Reuters that a Navy ship has left the South China Sea, where it was supposed to be docking, I believe, on the 20th in Vietnam. That has been canceled. It is on the way to the Middle East as well. So what's to come next, we don't know. We know that Iran is not wanting to negotiate at this time. So I look for this to continue. We're going to see a lot of different things coming from Israel and Iran on a daily basis until it's either going to be negotiations and a deal is made, or this barrage of missiles are going to keep going and other countries are going to get involved. And I truly believe that. I think Russia is going to get involved? I think Russia is spread thin right now. I don't think that you see Russia involving itself with, troops on the ground. They might send over weapon systems, things like that. Who knows? I know China has condemned Israel attacking Iran, and a number of Middle Eastern countries as well. But it's all a sit and wait for us right now. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of just checking my resources on X to see the news alerts about what's going on, and kind of just going from there, sharing with you guys what I'm finding. Let's see here. The IDF hasn't put out anything just yet, but we're all gonna wait and see what happens with all this. I think the majority of the world does not want to see war, does not want to see exactly what's going on right now. But on the other hand, there's no way in hell Iran should have a nuclear weapon. And the reason being, look at the terrorism that they not only fund, but they harbor terrorists. So, what happens if a nuclear weapon gets into the hands of Hezbollah? Well, we've seen what happened on October 7th, right? So, that's just my, again, I try to keep my personal opinions out on it, but I think we can all agree that Israel or Iran having a nuclear weapon probably isn't the best of ideas for the world's sake. And there it is. If you're asking what's the difference between the United States, Russia, China having one, and Israel or Iran having one, it's plain and simple. Number one, I don't think any of those countries or anybody in the world should have a nuclear weapon. But on the other hand, if they do have them, there are rules of engagement to follow. Iran is not a part of that ROE, meaning they will launch when they want to, they feel like launching. And the other thing is if a terrorist organization like Hezbollah ends up with a nuclear warhead, technically Iran didn't launch it, right? So there's some scary stuff going on around the world right now, and we're just sitting back and kind of waiting to see what happens. Um, see if there's any news coming out from Israel or Iran right now. I mean, going down through X, you see a lot of people defending both sides. So, I mean, this isn't one or the other. You have people, defending Iran's ability to defend itself, which, every country has the ability to defend itself, but when it comes to nuclear weapons, kind of where I draw the line. Um, when you have a country that's harboring and funding terrorism, which I've seen with my own two eyes, it's not a good thing to have them have a nuclear weapon. So, uh, this is coming from at Iran commentary. As of 2 seconds ago, Iran has decided to destroy northern Israel tonight. Let me take a look. Maybe we're watching the wrong cams here. If we are, we will switch over to a different camera view. Give me 1 second. Let's see if they're attacking a different city tonight. I'm seeing that a different part of Iran or Tel Aviv is getting hit. Let's see. Trying to pull up a different camera angle here. Maybe we can find something. That's not it. It's currently 11:39 in Israel right now. Let's see here. Trying to find us a different view of Tel Aviv. Let's see here. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you, exactly what. I'm pretty sure that we would hear something going on. You'd hear air raid sirens going on if they were attacking right now. I could be wrong. I'm checking news sources right now, but just have to wait and see. Has a live view of Tel Aviv right now, where Iran is said to attack again tonight. We're going to be staying live all night, all day today, and giving you guys up to date news. So here's something that came out from the Times of Israel. Let me bring this up real quick so you guys can see it. Give me 1 second here to figure out how to. Let's go here. Now, what I want to bring up is one second here, guys. I'm trying to bring this onto the screen. It's not letting me do it for some reason. There we are. Okay. Sorry about that. Little technical difficulty. Wasn't letting me bring it up. But let's make this just a little bit bigger for you guys so you guys can see exactly what's being said right now. I'll fit this to the screen. So basically, what it's saying is Israeli official to WSJ. Underground, I don't even know that word, not going to try. Nuclear facility might have imploded. That is so basically uranium enrichment plant is basically what that was. So you take that as you will. If Israel is diminishing Iran's nuclear capability, I think their whole goal is accomplished, right? So it's saying that they could have had it to where the nuclear facility imploded. Now, with that being said, are we going to see nuclear fallout? Again, civilians hurt, right? So there were reports that there's also reports coming out that Israel's internet has went down. Multiple people have said that right as of right now it is not. So again, sources, the Times of Israel says Israeli official to WSJ, underground nuclear facility might have imploded. So hopefully that doesn't cause a nuclear fallout. Who knows? Again, just giving you the stuff that I'm hearing right now. Israeli police. Last thing they said was 2 hours ago, and it just says Iran's missile attacks will not break us. They only strengthen our unity. Our officers will continue responding to every scene under any threat with a clear focus on saving lives. So right now what we're taking a look at is Tel Aviv, where we found that Israel has attacked multiple nuclear sites in Iran. It is being reported that one of the nuclear sites may have imploded inside of Iran. That's coming from an Israeli news source on X. That just came out. So the real question is that if it did implode, what's the ramifications of that happening, right? Is there going to be any nuclear fallout from that? I guess only time will tell. I know last night they were also, and I went through this before, they hit a TV broadcast station in the middle of a TV broadcast. So there will be a response, though. And that is what we are waiting on as of right now. What is Iran's response going to be? 43 minutes ago, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, warned Iran breached its nuclear commitments while advancing long-range missile capabilities. Israel acted just before the Iranian regime crossed the nuclear threshold, faced with extraterrestrial or extensile, yeah, I don't know, it's a big word. Threat. Israel does what it has to be. Let's see, show more. Israel does what has to be done. That's from 43 minutes ago. You have people all over the world, high-ranking officials, that are saying things like any attempts so far to restrain or stop Iran from acquiring and developing nuclear weapons were not successful. Hence, Israel had no other choice but to act in order to remove this threat. And that's coming from an Israeli MFA spokesperson. So I think what we're seeing right now is an attack on a regime, and I'm not talking about the Iranian people, because I truly believe that the Iranian people, the Persians, are great people. But the people of Iran are totally different than the regime that is running Iran. Israel launched strategic attacks into Iran, killing multiple military officials, nuclear scientists. I've seen a report, whether or not it had been true or not, it has not been, verified. So don't take my word on this. I just seen a report about it, that the United States told Israel not to strike the supreme leader. Don't know what the truth of that would be. I don't know. I have no clue. The only thing I do know, though, and I will go through this again, for people who have not been hold on one second. I'm seeing Iran military is vowing attacks on Israel tonight until dawn. So, will we see attacks? Iran is saying yes. You are going to see attacks on Israel. So, we're going to stick with the live broadcast until we see, what's going on here. And I'm going to bring it to you guys live. But I'm also going to give you some of my commentary on what exactly is going on. And for those people who don't know too much about what's going on, but they form an opinion on Iran's right to defend itself. To that, I will say absolutely Iran does have a right to defend itself. On the other hand, when you have Iran, who, again, funds terrorism, and I have seen that firsthand. So that is not hearsay. That is something that I've seen with my own two eyes. And the way that I seen it was when I was in Iraq. Right there on the 155 rounds that I personally was looking at in a blast crater that said Iranian rounds. When you have airplanes flying in from Iran that, like, smuggling, these aren't military aircraft. They're aircraft like the ones that we see over here in the United States, where the cartels use them to smuggle drugs. That was shot down while I was over there. So when you have a country that does things like that and conducts themselves the way that Iran's regime has conducted itself, when you have a regime that backs terrorism, funds terrorism, you do not want them to have a nuclear weapon. I can guarantee you that if Mexico right now, was on the verge of having a nuclear weapon, and tensions with America were at the boiling point, and we had cartel members attacking U.S. cities, and on October 7th happened just like September 11th happened, you would be singing a whole new song, and I guarantee you of that. You would not want somebody right next to you that has hostility against you having a nuclear weapon. Why? Because it might not come from Iran. What happens if that nuclear weapon gets in the hands of a Hezbollah? You have to look at the bigger picture. I am not an Israel supporter. I am not an Iranian supporter. I am for peace in the world. I don't like war. And the reason why I don't like war is because I've seen war. But when you have stuff like this going on, Iran had that nuclear program had to be put to a halt. And it did. And that's my personal opinion on it, and everybody has an opinion on different things, I'm sure. And sometimes we got to take ourselves out of politics to understand why, right? If you take yourself out of not liking Donald Trump, or you don't like the way that Israel is conducting themselves, if you don't like that, or if you don't like them, that's totally understandable. You have the right to not like a certain person. You have that freedom. But the problem lies is when you don't look at the bigger picture. When you see a country like Iran, who again funds terrorism, developing a nuclear weapon. When that happens, you have to do something. And that's what Israel has done. I am going to be letting my dogs outside because they are going crazy right next to me right now. I'm going to keep this live stream up and going. I'm going to keep the webcam up and going for you guys. And hopefully it's boring. Hopefully Tel Aviv does not get hit. But I'm pretty sure Iran has said that they are going to be attacking tonight. So my hope is that if they do, we get a live view of what's going on and get a good view of it. So give me just a few minutes here. I will be coming back on the air. I just need to let my dogs out because they're going crazy here, and I will be right back.
nothing. Just silent. That's it. No any voice, any sound from the another area. Nothing. Okay. Bye bye.
است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید صدا
Goodness gracious, I have been on mute this entire time when we were seeing rocket or we heard the sirens going off in Israel, in Tel Aviv. Live, we seen it. Right now, what we know is an interceptor has failed, and apparently it has struck the ground. We watched that happen live as the camera was panning off to the left. It panned back to the right, and it was a failed interceptor. We seen it do a U shape, and if you're looking at the screen beforehand, that's exactly what we seen. My question was at the time was, what in the world was that? So we got to ask ourselves, was it a failed interceptor, or did it get intercepted someplace else? Iran has said that they are launching missiles into Israel as we speak. I do not know. The sirens are not going off in Tel Aviv right now. But I do want to show you again what happened last night while live on the air in Iran. And then we'll go into what Israel was saying about this.
که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید صدایی که شنیدید فضای غبارآلود استادیوم
You guys heard that. I'm going to show the video again. I did not get that up on the screen. I am getting a little tired. As you can tell, I didn't have the mic unmuted for, I know, a good probably 30 minutes there. But again, you know, when you have nobody to tell you that the mic is muted, it becomes a little difficult. You don't know that your mic is muted. So, again, while live on air, this is what happened in Iran last night.
که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید صدایی که شنیدید فضای غبارآلود استادیوم
Again, the pure terror, and there hasn't been any indication or reports out on if that attack killed anyone. We do not know. Right now, I'm just looking up to see if we have any more news. Give me 1 second here. I am going to pull up a different view of Iran as well, or Israel. Not what I want.
With Gemini and Gmail, you can quickly keep your clients up to date all at once. From just one prompt, AI can help craft
So apparently there is no damage right now being reported from the attack from Iran. We're not seeing any damage reports. But it is very interesting to me how that interceptor went up and did a U-turn and went right back to the ground. So Ooh. Okay. So I have found video out of Iran that I am going to be putting up onto the screen here. Give me 1 second here. Apparently, this is a video of Iran.
Uai. Dai, dai. Uau. Imale.
انفجارات متواصلة عبد الرحمن وهي صوتية.
Wow. Holy crap. That is totally different than what we are seeing in Israel right now. We are not getting any live cams or any videos from... We are getting videos, but there are no live cams of Iran right now that I can find. But if you take a look at Israel right now, and that's what we're taking a look at. It is a totally different ball game than what's going on in Israel. I'm going to play that video one more time for us. That is... That blows my mind, to be honest with you. I mean, I've been watching these live cams of Israel since it began. I have seen nothing like what I just watched. Are all those strategic hits, is what I'm asking. Are those strategic hits on Iran? I don't know. Let's watch that again.
Uau. Imale.
Mm. And then we pan over to what's going on right now in Israel. Two totally different scenes, in my opinion. Right? We've said it before, and I'll say it again. There are it's two different scenes. Looks like we might have lost the live feed. I'm not sure. Let me see what I got here. Oh boy. It's sad when you see civilians going through this. It truly is, because they didn't ask for this. The regime, um, it's a lot. All right, guys. Well, listen. I am going to get off here for a little while. If any news breaks, I will be coming back on air. I'm kind of mad at myself for letting my mic be muted while the interceptor went up. We were live on air when that happened. Unfortunately, my mic was muted from taking my dogs outside and giving them a little bit of a break. But if any news breaks, I will come back on air and go live with you guys. But for right now, I need to eat. I will be back on air with you guys, though. So, be looking for my live stream here in just a little while.